word that says God will never leave me, God will never forsake me. But it is God has, in the midst of God saying, I will not leave you, I will not forsake you, but God, it is because God is in your life and God has a plan and a purpose for your life. God has a plan and purpose for your life. And what is this? No one, no matter somebody say bad about you, no matter how tough your situation is, no one can take away what God has for you in my life. If you only know one thing, I want to read to you this in the verses here today. About this man called Joseph. He says this in Genesis chapter 39 verse 1. If you don't have the Bible, which you don't have the PowerPoint to show today, I'll read to you now. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, Genesis chapter 39, okay, verse 1. Captain of the guard and Egyptian, brought him from Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. Now listen carefully, alright? The Lord was with Joseph. First thing first, I remember I shared with you just now, Joseph had a dream, and God gave him a dream. But then that dream became what? It became what? It became as though that what is this dream about? My family is going to bow down to me. But at the same time, what happened? He was sold as a slave. He became, from a son, he became a slave. Do you know those days, how they become a slave? They were put in a marketplace, just like the market, we talk about the marketplace. And they were there, they were standing naked. Alright? They were not with clothing, they were standing naked. They look at their body, they look at their height, they look at whether they are fit enough, how well built they are, determine their value as a slave. So the Potiphar look at Joseph, okay, I pay how much, I'll buy him over. So Joseph was bought over by Potiphar. So he became a slave working in the house of Potiphar. And being a slave, in those days, you don't have salary. You have no identity. Alright? All you have is that you're not even allowed to wear sandals. You are barefooted. Alright? All you have is food, work, and sleep. That's all. So Joseph was living a life from a son who loved by the father so much and became a slave overnight. Everything collapsed. But I want to tell you this. What do I mean? But if you know that you are a child of God, God said, I will never leave you, I will never forsake you. I want to read this verse to you to show you this. He says this. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. Okay, first thing first, where was he? He was not in his father's house. He was not on a silver spoon where he has a servant that will serve him because he was his father's favorite son. But he was in all of a sudden, like as though he was in a bad dream. Alright, but he has to face reality. His own brothers betrayed him. His own brothers sold him as a slave, and overnight he became a slave of nobody. And being humiliated, first time in his life, standing in a marketplace, people look at him, oh, 50 silver, 10 silver, shout for him, I'll buy this man. And his life became a trauma, emotional trauma. And I tell you this, he was in a place that was hopeless situation. He was in a place there was no hope at all in life. From a son became a slave. But what did he say there? He says, even he was a slave in the master house. Even though he went through such a bad experience, he says this, the Lord was with Joseph. God, you are with me. How can you be with me that this thing happened to my life? How can you be with me? You send such a difficult people around my life. How can you be with me when I'm such a difficult employer? How can you be with me on all these things happen to my life? How can you be with me, Lord? But the Bible says, even Joseph was in the master house. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man. Before Joseph began to work as a slave, the Lord says this. The Lord spoke in Joseph's life that Joseph is a successful man. Joseph is a successful man. You know, I heard about testimony. I want to share with you. It's a true testimony. This man, he knew God, but his heart was far away from God. For 30 over years, he was depending on drugs. He lived his life on heroin. He came in and out of prison, in and out of prison. But in his heart, he knew God. You know what happened? One day, two of his friends brought him to the church. And two of his friends brought him to church. And the pastor was preaching like what we are having right now. And when the pastor turned his face towards him and is pointing his finger at him, and God says, told him right at his face, "You are a holy man. I have called you. You are a holy man. You are separated from me because you are a holy man." And the two friends was next to him knew exactly who he was. He was a drug addict for 30 over years. And here a pastor turned to his face and said, "You are a holy man." How can a drug addict be a holy man? How can Joseph is a slave, is a successful man? Before Joseph even worked as a slave, God saw Joseph as a successful man. At the moment when the word says, the pastor said, "You are a holy man," you know what happened to him? He suddenly felt there was electric current that came into him. He was awakened that he thought all these years that he was useless. But God says, "You are a holy man." And when he heard that, he broke into tears. He cried out, "God, I want to come back to you." And since then, he became a holy man. Because why? God saw him holy. God saw Joseph, he is a successful man. And you know what happened? Joseph, I want to read to you what happened to this. He says this, "And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand." So Joseph found favor in his sight and served him. Can I say something to you related to what my sister Dawn shared this morning? When you have nothing to give, you complain, you murmur, you gossip. Because why? Because you have nothing, you want something. And because you don't have it, you complain, you murmur, you gossip. You want approval from employer. You want employer appreciation. You want employer to understand you. But you don't have it. Therefore, you complain, you gossip, you backbiting. Right? Because you don't have it. That's why we have nothing to give. We expect to receive, and we don't have it. Therefore, we complain and we murmur. But I'll tell you this. When you know that God is your God, when you know that God so loves you, when you know that you are a child of God, when you know that you are a child of God, when you look at problems around you, when you look at your employees around you, you know what do you see? The first thing that you see is this: my employer need to know God. God saw my employer. That's why I'm here working for them. God saw Potiphar. That's why Joseph was there. God saw your employer. That's why you were there. When you see your employer, I say, my employer need God. You know what? When you begin to notice, you see beyond your employer fault, but you see one thing. What can I do to bless, to reach out to my employer? What can I do to bless and to reach out to my employer? That's the first thing. And second thing, even though you know that it's difficult in the situation, even though you know that it's hard to live in a place where you are not used to, but because I come back to the same word again. You know that you are a child of God. You know that you are loved. You are a child of God. That cannot be taken away from you. People can put it anywhere. You can walk in the worst place in the world, but you are a child of God. Because you know that you are a child of God. You will say this. I know I can do this. I can overcome this. Because I know God has a greater purpose in what I'm doing. I can overcome this. I believe because I am a child of God. I believe I can overcome this. Amen. Joseph, the Potiphar has got a number of slaves. Joseph was only one of the slaves. But Potiphar has got a few slaves. Joseph was not competing against other slaves. Who is better? I'm better than you. No, he was not competing. He was looking at the needs of the Potiphar house. I believe at that time, why the Potiphar find him so different. Why Potiphar find so different? The unusual things that people will not do, but they found in Joseph. The unusual thing he will not found in his own fellow friends, relatives, Egyptians themselves. They will not find man. Who is this man called Joseph? I never seen a man in my own town, my own family, my own clan. I've never met a man called Joseph like you. You behave in extraordinary behavior. I've never seen a man like you. Don't talk about the slave. I've never seen a man even among my relatives. But I saw different you, Joseph. You are different. Joseph wasn't himself because he was a child of God. He is a child of God. You are a child of God. And when you know you're a child of God, you know what happened? Even if my master sacked me, removed me, I'm still blessed. I know that God, you will provide a way better for me. I will still bless because I'm a child of God. I'm still blessed. But in the midst, when I'm in my employee house, in the midst of my problems in life, in the midst of my situation in life, what do I do? What is God speaking to Joseph? What is God speaking to you? In the midst while you are working in your employee house, what is God speaking to you? What is God speaking to me? God says, look at your employer. Look at the people around you. They need me. They are broken without me. Look at the children. Do you know I love the kids so much more than you love them? Can I tell you now? Because I love the children, I want you to go and love them. Because they are the lost sheep. You never know one day. You never know one day. You never know one day. The children remember about God. It was because of you. You never know one day. Your employer always have a deep impression about God because of you. You don't need to take a Bible and preach to your employer. All you have to do, it was like Joseph. He was not even qualified to teach the master. He showed an extraordinary light. And because of that, the master promoted him. I tell you, listen carefully. Before you even begin to work for your employees, you are already God's favorite for promotion. You're already God's plan, which is good and not of evil. You are already a successful woman. You are already the best helper in the world. Right? Before you even start to work, you are already the best helper in the world. You are the most successful helper in the world. You are the woman that is so favored and blessed by God. Before you begin, all this is already part of you. You know why? Because Jesus, He lives in you. Amen. He is your God. He lives in you. And you are a child of God. You are so special. Amen. Amen. I tell you, pretending I'm your father, pretending, not real. No document, no birth certificate, it cannot prove. So pretending, okay. Pretending I'm your father. Hey, I'm your father. So what? Right? But if God tells you that I'm your father, God tells you I'm your father. Father, I'm not worthy. I don't think I'm worthy. But God says, look at my blood. My blood is not the chicken blood. I'm not kidding. Alright? You went to market, you see people slaughter pig and slaughter, they kill chicken, you saw blood everywhere. What happened? You were trying to, yeah. Right? But if I tell you, go to the surgery room, operation room, okay, look at someone undergoing surgery, look at the blood. I tell you, maybe 50% of you. Why? Because we cannot see blood. Because we are scared of blood. Why? Blood is dirty, blood is scary. But I tell you something, there's one blood will never be scary, will never be dirty. When God says, I shed my blood for you. I want you to look at this. If you look at the blood, a bowl of blood, and this bowl of blood, if I say this is the chicken blood, you say, yay. Alright? Or some of you maybe going to cook what do you call that? The pork blood, the pork blood into what? My goodness. I look at the blood. You know, if I tell you, I pour on the table. I say, give me tuan. What do you call that? Dinuguan.
Yes. Correct. Blood.
If I say to you, this is dinuguan. If I tell you, okay? I say, this is human blood.
Ew.
You scared, right?
Yes.
Because you know why? Because we are not attached to human blood. We are not attached to the goat blood. But if I tell you this is God's blood. Jesus says, drink of me. It is my blood that cleanses you. What is God's blood? God's blood, when you look at God's blood, it is holy. You know why it's holy? Because it is pure. Our blood is so dirty. Do you know why it's pure? Because loved. God's love is pure. And He loved us without any condition, without any wrong motive, without any condition or wrong motive. He simply loved us while we are still sinners. While we still scorn at Him, we still, and you know what happened? He shed His blood for us. I tell you something. You look at the blood in a bowl, you saw the blood is holy. And why is holy? Because it is pure. And why is pure? Because it's loved. And I put you, let's say you are so small now, into that bowl of blood. I dip you into a bowl of blood. And when you come out, what will you become? What will you become? What will you become? You become pure. You become holy. And you are filled by His love. Because God lives in you. Before He can live in you, He got to cleanse you with His own life. Because of His love, He became blood. He cleansed you, and then He can live in you so that you can experience how much He loves you. And because of this, you know, I am now a child of God.
because of my own effort, not because I'm good enough, but because God so loved me. He died for me. He washed my sin away. He filled me with His love. I am now a child of God. I am now a child of God. Now, because you know that you are a child of God, you know what happened? You know what happened? You look at the people around you, and you see, God, I saw my employer. I want to serve my employer well, because I want the employer to be blessed. My employer will know I am a child of God. Joseph wanted Potiphar's servant and Potiphar to be blessed, because Joseph says, I am a child of God. And Joseph says, I want to tell you why I can do all those things that others cannot do, because I am a child of God. Why I cannot do those things that other people cannot do, because why I can do, because I am a child of God. Because you're so blessed. I tell you something. You are so blessed. I'm so blessed because I am a child of God. I am a child of God. And because of that, I will see that people around me will be blessed because I am a child of God. Amen. One time I was very selfish. I think I shared with you guys before. I was very selfish. I was busy. I told myself, I have got 16 pastors who came from Philippines. And I said, I think out of a goodwill, as a responsible person, in one way, I think to fulfill my response in terms of knowing me and I knowing them, you know what I did? I actually ordered, I helped them to get a vehicle and then go to Malaysia and enjoy their time. I thought I've done my best. My human effort, I've done my best. But that very morning, while they were at the customs, I received a call from Charlie. And Charlie called me and said, Sunny, how can you do such a thing, leaving them behind, and then go alone to Malaysia? I was thinking, they have a tour guide. The driver is going to bring them there. As far as I am concerned, everything is okay because all is well planned. But it was not okay with God. And God told me this, Sonny, do you know that they are my children? They are my children. Do you know they are my God's servant? Do you know that I want you to go and love them because I love them? Not because of your inconvenience, not because of your busyness, because I love them. You know what happened? When I knew that, when God spoke to my heart, as much as human I am, I can have good excuses. Yes, I am busy. Yes, I have good excuses. Yes, I think I'm tired. But God told me, go and love them. You know what I did the first thing? I put on everything. I didn't even wash my hair. I changed my clothes. I get my son, come, let's go. I drive all the way to Malaysia. And that very day of what I did was not of me, but was of God. Because everything was amazing. All right, I was serving, I was doing everything, I was serving everyone, I was doing everything. Do you know what happened? When I went back to the same place, when they saw me, I knew something was broken. I knew that the relationship between me and them was superficial in the very first place. But that very day, after we were together in Malaysia for one whole day, I knew something was broken. It was not because I talked to them. It was the atmosphere of love, that God's love penetrated to the superficial wall of the relationship between man and man. God's love penetrated. When I went there, a month later when I went there, the whole atmosphere was changed. When they see me, when I see them, the whole atmosphere was changed. As though I was like their family members. As though that we are long-time friends. When I was preaching, they were all sitting in front. They all were so excited to see me. They all was in front. I was so blessed. I was so touched by them. If I could have known if I could stay as my own human selfish effort, I could have said, I just, it's okay, I'm fine. But I tell this, God, despite all the inconvenience, He came and died for us and gave His life to us. He became a man. Do you know when God became a man, He had to suffer pain and to suffer pain and death. You know that? You know that? He had to suffer pain and death. So I want to say to all of you here today, you are a successful woman. The testimony of our sister who shared this morning is a testimony that God is telling you to each and every one of us. God's testimony is in you. Believe this. Believe this. If you know that God loves you so much, if you know that you are a child of God, if you know that because of this, you are successful, you are favored by God, I want to read this to continue to show it. Then He made him overseer of his house and all that he had put under his authority. So it was from the time that he had made him overseer of his house and all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian house for Joseph's sake. For Joseph's sake. Because of you, your employer are blessed. Amen. Because of you, the children are blessed. Because why? You are no longer living for your own selfish will, but you're out there to love them. You're out there to do beyond what you can do in your own strength. You're out there to say, I will do it. I'll do my best. I will do it. Because why? You are a child of God. You are a child of God. And that's why it says this. It says, God blessed Joseph. God blessed the Egyptian house for Joseph's sake. And the blessings of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and in the field. Even Joseph was mistaken by his own master, thinking that he slept with his wife. And he was thrown to the prison. And yet Joseph still knew that he was a child of God. From a slave, already a minus 20. And from a slave become a prisoner is minus 100. And yet, I want to read to you. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were confined. And he was there in the prison. So Joseph was thrown into the prison. And those days, prison are not like those good times that we have today. 3 meals a day, all right? We got a proper sanitary, proper toilet and all those places. Those days, when you say in the prison, you will stay there, you will shit there, you will live there, you will live with your long beard, long hair. You think your barber can cut your hair? Those days you have nothing, you simply live as just a pure prisoner, nothing, dirty like shit, everything everywhere so dirty. You know what happened? He says this. He was there in the prison. But, I like the word but the Lord was with Joseph. And he gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And he gave Joseph favor in the sight of the prison keeper. Which means to say, when Joseph was thrown to the prison, oh Joseph, you are so pitiful. You were the slave. Hey, you are in charge of the house. Now you become a prisoner. You are so pitiful. Come. I give you a special place to stay. No, you stay there, okay? Because other people are not like you. Are so good, and then now you become a prisoner. You are a good slave. You know you are so good. You stay there. Be good, okay? I take care of you. Don't worry. I tell you, that's not what Joseph experienced. I tell you, it's going to be a lot harder when he was in a prison. But people who live in a prison are people who are hopeless, full of hatred, full of bitterness, full of anger. And someone perhaps die every day in a prison because they'll take away their own life. But I believe is this.
when Joseph was in the prison, he lived an extraordinary life. I believe that when he saw his prison mates, he was there. He was there to encourage this person. He was there to pray for this person. He was there, I will help you to carry the water. I will help you to do this. I will help you to do that. And the prison keeper saw about Joseph again. Who is this man who was thrown as a slave, who could have suicide and kill himself because of his life? From a favorite son to a slave and now in a prison. Who was this man? And look at him, how he helped the people around him. How he blessed the people around him. You know what happened? Because he was taking away the burden of the prison keeper. So busy seeing things happening around. Now with Joseph around, you know what happened? He got lesser burden. He was there to help everyone. So he said, wow, favor of God. He said, wow, I see you. Joseph. Then he said, I make you Joseph. You be the one in charge now. Now I just put my hands off. You in charge now. You change the whole prison cell. You in charge now. Because you are different. You know why? Because he was a child of God. Are you a child of God? Am I a child of God? We are different. And he will see how God always promote you. God will always bless you. God will always raise you up. No matter what situation, no matter what happened to you, you are still favored by God. Amen. Amen. I want to close now, okay? I want to pray for anyone who is here today. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I know coming far away from your family, from Philippines and coming all the way to Singapore, being away from family, I know there's always a constant struggle of missing your family. I also know that it's not easy to work in another family that is totally new to you. I know sometimes that you do have to struggle with different areas of your life. You just don't know how to manage your work, you don't know how to manage with your employers. But today I want to begin with a new journey of your life. I want you to erase those things that seems to weigh you down, that make you feel that you are nothing. But God today wants to make you to be someone different. He wants to call you my children, my child, child of God, child of God. My daughter, you are my princess. My daughter, you are my royalty. My daughter, I love you with an everlasting love. I will always love you, I will always love you, and I always love you. And I'll